In this video, I'm going to share with you how to sell a coaching program, and I'm going to explain to you the 10 steps in the selling process. Let's go. In this video, I'm going to share with you a very specific and structured process that you can take clients through, a strategy session process that's going to help you make more sales for your coaching programs and deliver better results to your clients. Now, by the way, this is part 2, and if you haven't watched part 1, that's okay. You can still watch this one first and then go back and watch part 1, which you can link to below. Now, before I get into the 10 steps, I want to share with you why these steps are so powerful and so valuable. They really, really work. I use them. All of my clients use them. I hope that you use them too. And the reason it's so powerful is that sales can be really tricky, especially if we just show up willy-nilly and just, all right, let's do this thing. What I found is that it is so beneficial and so helpful, number one, for you to have a structure and process for yourself to give you confidence and for you to just know that you're hitting all the major points. And it feels really good to the client. It feels good to them to know that you're going to lead them and that you have a process and a structure, especially coaching clients, because they want to be led by you anyways. Otherwise, they wouldn't be having this conversation. So they want to know that you're going to be able to lead them. So you definitely never want to leave the leadership of a sales conversation to the client, okay? So let's go. Now, before you even get on a sales call, step 1 is checking in your own internal state. Now, see, if you show up on a call frustrated, irritated, tired, fearful, scarce, whatever that negative emotion is, whether the client knows it or not, they're gonna feel it. And so it's really important that before you ever get on a call or a Zoom with a prospect, that you check in your own emotional state and you make sure that you're in an elevated emotional state. What's an elevated emotional state? It means tapping into love, tapping into gratitude, tapping into excitement, into joy, into trust. So I do a little pregame ritual before I get on any strategy session, and it's just a few deep breaths and remembering to tap into love and service. That's what I do before I get on the call. And one thing that I do with myself is just remind myself that I'm not attached to any particular outcome, that I'm cool no matter what happens, and I'm here to serve this person. And that goes back to my philosophy, sales as service, which you can learn more about in part 1 of this video. But don't watch it now, watch it later. Step 2. Now, this is when you actually get on the call with a client. This is where you want to just build a little rapport, which means, hey, how are you? It's been so long since I've seen you. It was so nice meeting you at this place. I'm talking 30 seconds to maybe 1 or 2 minutes, no more than that. A mistake that people can make is to get stuck in rapport and then not be able to move out of rapport. So we don't want to let rapport happen too long, and we definitely want you to be the person to shift into step 3, the next step. We don't want the client to be like, hey, so should we talk business or what? You know, we want you to be the one to say, all right, great. So the way I like to run these calls, which leads me to number 3, which I consider to be the biggest game changer for me in sales. I never used to do this before, and I thought that I was a sales expert. In fact, I ran sales training workshops. Number 3, the pre-frame, is basically where you lay the foundational rules or guidelines for the call. And you let the client know that you're in charge, that you're running this call, that you have a plan, that they can trust you. And it also establishes that at the end of the call, together, you will make a decision about whether to move forward or not. So this is what my pre-frame more or less sounds like, totally off the cuff, okay? Hello, so-and-so. It's so nice to talk with you again. Rapport. So, let's jump into it, shall we? The way I like to run these calls is it's a bit of an art and a science. My goal on the call, my objective, number 1 objective, is to serve you. And that means to help you with some sort of new insight, new perspective, new idea, something that's going to help you move forward. And my other goal is to see if we're a good fit to keep working together, to see if we jive. And so I'm going to do that. I'm going to support you. I'm going to give you this value. And at the end of the call, together, we're going to decide whether we want to keep working together or not. And either way is fine. There's no pressure. Does that work for you? Now, I've never had someone turn me down on this. Never once. Because People that are getting on the phone with me generally have seen me speak or have seen me on YouTube, and they want me to lead them. And so that pre-frame establishes my leadership, and also that at the end of the call, we got to make a decision. Step 4 is the diagnosis. So we're moving into the phase of the call, the meat of the call, where you are consider yourself like the doctor and you're interviewing a brand new patient to try to help them, okay? So as the doctor, what you do in the diagnosis is you ask a lot of questions and you poke around. You are looking for pain points. You are looking for things that aren't working. You're looking for problems. You're looking for places where you might be able to support and help this client. So in the diagnosis, that's where you're asking questions about what you know. If you're a health coach, you're asking about how they're feeling. If you're a business coach, you're asking about how's their marketing, how are their lead gen, how are their sales, how are their revenues, right? How are their expenses, their profits? Essentially, the diagnosis is you're gathering information to get ready for step 5, which is the prognosis. The prognosis, like a doctor, is where you help somebody see what's really happening and you give them insight into the problems. So that's where you say, all right, you told me that you're having this problem and you're not making enough money and your profits are bad and blah, blah, blah. In the prognosis is where you say, I think what you have is a problem. You need to raise your prices. And you told me that you're scared to raise your prices. So my guess is that there's some mindset stuff around money that we'll need to work on or something like that. So you let them know what you see is really going on, and then you wait and you listen to hear feedback from them if they resonate with that. And that's going to tell you if this client is coachable or not. Because if they resist your insights and they resist your ideas and they resist your diagnoses and your prognosis, chances are they're going to resist your coaching later too, and they're not going to be a very good client. So the prognosis, the idea is to have them become present to the vision that they have, what's in the way, and how much it hurts, and that they don't want that problem anymore, that they want to create something new, they want a better outcome. That's where we start to move into, are you the right person to help them with this outcome? Because at this point, sales as service, right? They could leave this call and have tons of value knowing that you've given them, hey, this is what's wrong. This is what I see. This is what you can do. Not from a coaching perspective, not telling them exactly how to do it. Because if you do that at this point, they're not going to do it. It came too easily for them. They haven't invested in it. Chances are they won't actually do the things. But you've told them, hey, these are the issues that you need to resolve. And by the way, let me share with you, if you're interested, if I'm the person that can help you solve them. Which brings me to the next point, the fitness. Now, this is a step I used to skip over, and now I think it's one of the most powerful steps. This is where you give them hope. This is where you show them, hey, there's a better way and I can help you with this. And I think we're a good fit. Now, by the way, you only want to do this if you actually truly want to work with them and if you actually truly believe you can help them and if you actually truly believe that you are a good fit. If you're not, I recommend at this point just giving them a book they can read, a video they can watch, a course they can do that'll give them an answer to help them get to that next level if they're not a fit for you. But if they are, then you need to tell them. You need to share with them not only that you can help them, but that you want to, that you're excited to, that it would be an honor and a pleasure and a privilege to help them with this thing. So many people skip over this because they don't want to seem like they want it too bad. But I say be authentic, be real, be vulnerable, and say, I would love to work with this on you. I think we're a great fit. How do you feel about this? Do you feel the vibe here? And if they say yes, then you can move on to the next step. Now, before I go on to the next 3 and final points, which are huge, I want to make sure that you know that I have an entire playlist about how to build and grow your coaching business. So after you watch this video, I highly recommend going down to the notes below and checking out my coaching business playlist. Step 7. This is where we start to shift into the enrollment part of the conversation, okay? This is where once we've determined that we're a good fit to work together and they're interested in working with you and they want to hear more, that's where we back off a little bit. We say, oh, hang on there, tiger. I want to work with you. And before I do, it's really important that I understand how committed are you? How important is this to you? And I usually say, by the way, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not at all important, 10 being the most important thing, where do you land? Now, here's the kicker, okay? People don't believe me until they actually experience it. I only work with 10s. And if somebody doesn't give me a 10, then I tell them, listen, I appreciate that there are other things in your life that are more important, and kind of work that I do is really intense, really deep, requires a big commitment on your part. And so I only work with people who are a 10 out of 10 committed. And usually at that point, people are like, well, actually I'm a 10. I was just feeling a little worried. I'm not sure if I can do it. And I go, I totally understand that. But if it's a 10 out of 10 commitment from you, then I'm going to help you do it. But I need you to show up 100% and I'll show up 100%. The next question I ask inside of that is, and how urgent is this for you? What does your timing look like? Is this I gotta have this now? Or is this maybe in 3 or 6 or 12 months? And so once I've determined timing, then I know what kind of offer I can make them. And so your offers might be different than mine, so I'm not gonna dive into that. I'm just gonna say that from that commitment and urgency, that's where you get an idea in your mind most likely of what's the right fit for this person. Which program, when does it start? Yada, yada. And then one thing that I do, because I run retreats, is at this point, I'll check in on my next retreat dates. And I'll say, well, listen, I've got something that I think might be perfect for you, and it's coming up pretty quick. It's on these dates. Are you available those dates to even do this? So I get the check-in on those dates before I even make the offer. Okay, last 3 points are, number 8 is, this is now the time to make your offer. And this is where you tell the client, you tell the person, this is what I think is right for you. Now, if you have a couple of different options, I always recommend presenting the higher price point option first, and then presenting the lower one. That way, the higher one establishes the anchor value. In my opinion, it's best to have an anchor price, like a high one, and then the medium one be the one that's your core offering that you want to sell, and then the low one being some sort of downsell in case they just can't do it. This is a way to downsell. And I don't even offer the downsell unless I know that the middle one is a no. Just saying. And then after you've made that offer, what you might find is people might say, okay, I'm ready, let's do this. Or you might find that there are objections. And like I said in part 1 of this series, objections are good. They're an opportunity to go deeper and to get to know your clients better. It's an opportunity to connect further, to empathize and be compassionate. Don't ever try to deflect or avoid or distract from an objection. You always want to acknowledge it, receive it, agree with it, and then share another perspective on it. One way to do that is to bring them back to the vision, to remind them of the thing that they really, really want, and then ask them, what's more important, this vision or this objective? Are you making this decision from your vision, or are you making this decision from a circumstance? So these are all great ways to address objections. And then finally, and this is one that a lot of people skip, and I used to skip at the beginning, gain commitment and take payment. It is so valuable and helpful and effective for you to be able to take your payment right there and then. And in fact, so valuable, so effective that I recommend giving some sort of incentive to people for making a payment right there on the spot and paying in full. Now, if they can't do that, of course, you can create a deposit or a payment plan, but I would at the very least collect the deposit right there and then. The moment that people say yes and they give you some investment towards this vision, they've already started stepping into the new version of them that's going to achieve this vision. It's a step of commitment. It's not just about the money. It's about the energetic of them saying, oh my God, I'm really going to do this, and I'm going to do it right now. All right. So please don't shy away from that piece. Those are my 10 steps. I hope that that was helpful for you. And I invite you to consider setting up some time with me on my calendar for a discovery call if you'd like to understand how to up-level your sales, grow your coaching practice, and have better clients, more joy, more freedom, more fulfillment, more contribution. So if you want to do that, go ahead and click on the link below, or just go to superstaractivator.com/go so you can set up your free call with me.